He's Bruce Bowen. He won 3 championships with the Spurs and worked at the mothership, former Clippers TV analyst, and kind enough to join us now. Bruce, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Before I get to the Clippers situation, let me ask you about what Daryl Morey had to say yesterday on our show, where he said that he thinks LeBron's the best player of all time by a bit of a wide margin there. And he said he was basing this on analytics. What analytics do you think he could be using that he would have LeBron as the greatest player of all time?
Well, I mean, the consecutive finals appearances, that adds to the whole process of what, he's coming up with. But I think more than anything else, Dan, is that we live in a different society today as far as how basketball is necessarily talked about, scouted, and things of that nature. It's not to take away from the analytics because it is helpful, but I came up under a different style of basketball. I came up under that somebody went out and scouted you and watched the guys against certain guys and saw what they can do against the best as well as the worst. And now you have such advanced scouting, you have computers involved, and so when you have that now, the computer can't see that, say, for example, a backup guard has a plus 10 type of point production throughout the season, and that starter who averages 30 minutes a game maybe have a -3. But what they don't understand is that when that backup guard goes into blowouts, it's really no pressure on him. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to determine necessarily certain outputs of play as compared to when you allow the computer to do it, because the computer can't sense the moments per se as well as people could. But you also have to look at the generation deal. A lot of kids today, all they know of Michael Jordan is Space Jam and that he has cool shoes. No one knows that he was the bar. He was the bar as far as you want to be the best, you want to be the go-to guy because of what he did. But guys like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and so forth, those guys study what MJ did, and they took a little bit of what MJ had and now have incorporated it into their game.
Better all-around player, I think, is more of the argument because I think, Michael has the better resume, and LeBron's not done yet, but you played against both of these guys. If you were just assessing basketball talents, who was a better basketball talent, LeBron or MJ?
The talent coming into the game, it was LeBron. I mean, he saw the floor so well, and that's still his strength. But he came in equipped, whereas Michael Jordan came into the game. Michael Jordan couldn't shoot the ball or dribble. And that's what people don't realize is that he was such a relentless worker at trying to be the best at his craft. I go back to the story of what Kenny Smith shared with me as far as, at pickup basketball. He wanted to set the tone even in college where when they won their game, everybody else went to go get water, Michael stayed on the floor. And that's more about a mental toughness and allowing guys to understand that, hey, no, I don't need water to do what I'm going to do to you right now because I'm setting the tone as far as who I am and what I'm going to be. So with that thought process not coming in as the best already, the work is what transpired to what we've seen in the 6 championships with MJ. He didn't have all the tools in, but I tell you this, he sure did finish with a lot of those tools that everyone tends to look at and try to take a piece of. Now, LeBron, I'm amazed at what he's still doing today, Dan, because it is truly about the love of the game for him. He loves the game of basketball. When you love something, you're willing to keep your body in tip-top shape year-round, not taking any time off. There are some guys, I was at this Nike Elite Academy last week, and LeBron came through playing with the top 25 high school kids, top 25 college kids, and it looked like he hadn't missed a beat. Now, some of the other NBA players that came in and played, they didn't have their physique looking like LeBron's because I think some of those guys took some time off, and they use this time now to try to get back into shape.
Can you have an open mind that LeBron could end up as the greatest of all time?
It's hard for me to say the greatest of all time because of the era I played in, of what I grew up watching. I think that's what I go with. And I had this discussion with someone else one time. Robert Horry played with Akeem Olajuwon, and he thinks the world of Akeem, but he played with him. I played with Tim Duncan, and I think the world of Tim Duncan as far as greatest players down low on the block. It's hard for me to say that LeBron would be the greatest to ever play because of what I grew up seeing in Michael, what I grew up trying to be like. You know, it was a short time I tried to be like him, right until high school. You know, but you know, with LeBron, he's changed the game as far as how big he is, 6'9", 260, moving like a point guard. Now, I can say that he's the best right now, but you can't limit Kobe and what he was able to do. So it's not just about two guys, as far as I'm concerned, Dan. It's multiple players.
Tougher to guard, Kobe or LeBron?
You would ask that question. I think Kobe was the toughest to guard for me, because at that time, you got to realize, when LeBron played against me in the finals, he was not who he is now. He's definitely improved, but Kobe was such a competitor that even if they were down 20, very rarely did he just catch the ball and swing it to the other side. He was still in the mode of, how can I get on a roll real quick to help my teammates? And the fact that he stopped eating he changed his diet at 25 years of age. You know, guys don't usually do that until they start seeing a pudge around their gut. But again, this is a student of the game, somebody who loved the game of basketball, that ate, drank, and slept basketball. This is why he was so special as a player. And, you know, had a chance to see him last week, and it was just funny. Two bald guys with beards that are now talking about their kids as we coach them.
Would you be surprised if Kobe decided he wanted to play, like came out of retirement and want to play for the Lakers?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely would be surprised at that, because, you know, it's one of those deals for him. He's done it. His body – I mean, think about this: an Achilles tear, surgeries, broken fingers, you know, pulled joints. It's just, you know, after a while, Dan, as much as your mind say, I think you can, your body says, what are you doing? Sit down somewhere.
We're talking to Bruce Bowen, three-time NBA champ with the Spurs, and up until recently, the Clippers TV analyst. All right, help me understand this, why you don't have a job with the Clippers now, Bruce.
You know what? It's just the way it is. I guess sometimes the business of basketball, it can go a certain way, and
no, this isn't the way it is. This is unique. You're good at what you do. Did you get fired or not brought back because of what you said about Kawhi Leonard, and that is going to somehow poison the water of allowing the Clippers to have a chance to bring in Kawhi Leonard?
Right. No, it was because of my comments towards Kawhi, what I had to say about him. Now the thing is, Kawhi and his family, I'm very good with. But, you know, I feel like this, that as a analyst, as a former player, as a guy that used to talk to Kawhi a lot, I think it's important that I can say the truth and be able to face his mother. You know, I'm not tearing him down, but I am talking about the way you go about things, especially in today's society where so many things are just let go and no one tends to talk about what's truly going on. And, you know, for a young man to have the world at his feet here in San Antonio, you know, the team was built around him. I think sometimes when you're constantly watching others, or somebody in your camp is feeling like you would be better off somewhere else, I don't ever think that's the right idea. You know, the whole saying of, you know, you think the grass is greener on the other side, just take a water hose out and water your own grass to emulate what you see. Now, who's to say that he's going to have a community, a team, more say, an organization that's behind him, quite like when he had it here in San Antonio? Those are the things, and when people talk about how great of a player he is, yes, it shows on the floor, but what is the next person thinking about if this guy has chosen not to go to a playoff game with his teammates because he's working out in New York and your team is in Golden State? Those were my thoughts as far as how this takes place, because I played with some great players. And, you know, for Tim Duncan, as far as being the greatest Spur of all time, to his last season, he finished the game on the floor because of his love and dedication to the game. There is no way that you can say without, having some type of a doubt that I would want to be in a bunker with Kawhi when he doesn't want to support his teammates. Now, you get in that bunker with Tim Duncan because you know he's there. And if you're a go-to guy, this is what's required.
But let me go back to the clip. What did the Clippers say to you? Did they come out and just say, look, we're not bringing you back because the comments you made about Kawhi? Was it that kind of cut and dry?
Oh, yeah, it was. Well, basically, we don't view your views that way, and because of your comments of Kawhi Leonard,
who told you that?
We are choosing to go a separate way.
Who told you that?
An individual within their organization who signed off on me being on board.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. I mean, because I was told by somebody who's with the Clippers who said, look, we're not taking any chances here. We can't, and I thought, man, you're going to fire Bruce Bowen because he was honest about Kawhi, and therefore Kawhi might not want to play for the Clippers. Is that really what this is all about?
This is one thing that I thought about in all of this is that Kawhi never said, I want to play for the Clippers. Kawhi said he wanted to play for the Lakers.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, if you're going to run your organization based on hopes, maybe, and getting rid of others. Now, if I tore him down and I was disrespectful to him, that's one thing. But that's not the case. As an analyst, I'm supposed to talk about what I see and what I feel for this game that I love. And so if you can't do that, what does that say about your organization?
Would you build a team around Kawhi Leonard if you were a GM?
No, I would not. And I say that from what has transpired now.
Okay.
Now, if you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I'd say absolutely. That's what you do. You had talking about a Finals MVP, and he's had it very good as far as having Tim, Tony, and Manu to kind of learn from, and then you go from there. But only because of the actions that I've seen here of late would it create doubt for me to build around Kawhi.
Do you think his people...
That's not a slap to him. It's just the fact that this is what I've seen from you, and I just don't have that trust that I can feel that way about you going into something special as far as a season or a playoff series.
Do you think that Kawhi or his people had anything to do with this?
I think, until Kawhi comes out and says something, he's going to be the person that everyone will say, well, why didn't he say something? If Kawhi came out and said these things and no one else, but if Kawhi says it, then at least you say, okay, we got it from the horse's mouth. But
I mean, you losing your job. You losing your job. Do you think that Kawhi's camp had anything to? Did they give the Clippers a, hey, you know what? We can't have this. If you want me to consider the Clippers, you can't have somebody who's going to be ripping me.
I don't think they're that. I don't think I'm that. I'm that powerful where. I would be the reason why someone would not want to go to a team. I mean, what are you doing? Are you playing or are you listening? And if you are listening, then listen to the words that are said and receive the constructive criticism, because that's my job, to be critical of someone's play. Now, if I'm just tearing a player down, that's one thing, but I don't think I'm big enough that someone would say, you know what, I'm not going there because Bruce Bowen is there and he's on the mic. I'm not going to deal with that because I'm the same person that's just going to call it how it is. You go 10 for 15. I'm going to talk about how you are utilizing jab steps, setting your guy up to come off a screen, and getting down in a defensive position to get steals. Now, if I'm praising you, but I also have to be honest as well, because there are listeners out there to see what I'm saying. Is it just a homer, or is it someone that's telling the truth about the game that he loves?
Well, I think the difference is, and you found this out the hard way, you can be critical, do your job as an analyst on ESPN, but you can't do that in a local market. I think that's the big difference. You're supposed to be. I was told that Bruce knows that he's supposed to be a homer. We shouldn't be talking about Kawhi because he knows that we would like to get Kawhi. We can't get free agents here, and these kind of comments, can only do damage to that possibility. So,
well, see, Dan, I think if you can't get free agents in California, in Los Angeles, that is, that has nothing to do with Bruce Bowen. That has more to do with the organization.
You can drop the mic on that one, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. We'll check in with you during the season, unless you get another job, and then you might be busy. But
don't forget about me, Dan. Because
I won't,
I've
Bruce.
been a fan of yours for quite some time, man. Even when you were at the mothership.
I just don't critique me here, because then I'm not going to be able to have you on. Okay.
All right, my man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bruce. That's Bruce Bowen, three-time NBA champ with the Spurs and the former Clippers TV analyst.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.